Hello everyone and welcome to our presentation today, which will serve as the introductory presentation to our course BRICS. BRICS is an acronym coined to associate five major emerging economies: Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The acronym was coined in 2001 by then chairman of Goldman Sachs Asset Management, Jim O'Neill, in his publication Build a Better Global Economic BRICS with a lowercase s. At that time, the economies of Brazil, Russia, India, and China has experienced significant growth, raising concerns regarding their impact on the global economy. See, BRICS was typically rendered as the BRIC countries, the BRIC economy, or alternatively as the Big Four. The name, however, has since been changed to BRICS with the inclusion of South Africa in December of 2010. Since 2009, the BRICS nations have held annual summits. The last one, the 12th BRICS Summit, was hosted by Russia on 17th November 2020. Virtually, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, of course. What makes BRICS important is the fact that, together, these emerging markets represent 42% of the world's population and account for over 31% of the world GDP, according to the World Factbook. In fact, given the rapid rate of their economic growth, analysts have predicted that the BRICS will overtake the United States in terms of GDP by 2016. And they did. Discussing the history of the BRICS, we start into September 2006. The first step toward creating the BRICS was taken on the aforementioned date, when the first meeting of the BRIC foreign ministers took place in the wake of the 61st session of the UN General Assembly taking place in New York. Then, a series of consecutive meetings followed in 2007 and 2008 between the BRIC heads of states. However, the concept was only formalized as an institutional body in the first BRIC summit held in Russia in 16 June 2009. The 2008 financial crisis had a tremendous impact on the US and Europe, which raised some concern over the dollar-dominated monetary system and also challenged the relevance of the West-led Bretton Woods institutions such as the IMF and the World Bank. BRIC countries, however, have emerged strong and projected viable and sustainable models of growth during the financial crisis. Therefore, they called for the reform of multilateral institutions in order that they reflect the structural changes in the world economy and the increasingly central role that emerging markets now plays. During their first summit, the BRIC laid out their agenda and goals of a more democratic, multipolar world based on the rule of law, equality, mutual respect, cooperation, coordinated action, and collective decision-making of all states. Though each country has a distinctive economic and political character, Russia is a commodity-driven economy, China is an export-led economy, while India is a domestic consumer-based one. What unites these five countries is the outstanding size of their economy. For example, South Africa represented one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. Substantial growth rates and an ambition to be key actors in the international order is what unites these five countries. BRICS economy collectively have evolved into a strong economic force. In fact, the economic size of the BRICS in terms of its share of the world GDP has expanded by around whopping 150%. in the last 30 years alone. It is important to note that the BRICS agenda has expanded over the years, broadening its prospect from the financial economic sphere to include the political governance sphere. As for economic financial domain, the BRICS agenda have prioritized G20 cooperation, including the IMF and World Bank reform, in order to enhance the representations of southern emerging economies in these financial institutions. This was because it was felt that the IMF model of growth, the Washington Consensus, has contributed to the previously mentioned financial crisis of 2008. Meanwhile, in the political realm, the BRICS advocated the reforms of the United Nations and of its Security Council, aiming for a more inclusive, fully representative Security Council. Meanwhile, the BRICS also maintain a constant dialogue on the main issues on the international agenda. Two of the most famous one, or better yet infamous one, are terrorism and the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction. Furthermore, the intra-BRICS cooperation has expanded into areas such as agriculture, science, technology, outer space, culture, health, and tourism. The rapid development that the BRICS have gone through has rendered it as an